on, boys and girls? Welcome to another episode here, season 6, episode 23. Here on Isles Talk. My name is Paul Kreischer. I am your host for this evening. Unfortunately, you guys are stuck with me. Look at the hair. Damn. Um, yeah, you guys are stuck with me tonight. So sorry about that. Gary had some things he had to work on at home, and Joe has had some massive sinus infections. It's a little bit of a mess for him. I thought all the illnesses were done with us, but Joe comes through again. So, um, cracking open the water bottle here. So yeah, this show tonight and is titled, Time of Transition. It's something I've been saying now for several years. Um, this is going to be a team that will constantly go through a transitional phase probably for the next couple of seasons, but it's starting a little earlier. Ah, yes, 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 yes. Finally liberated. Yes. Good evening, guys. Yes. Thank God for Matthew. Yes. So, but yeah, this is a time of transition for the Islanders. Things are moving a little quicker than probably some of us were expecting, but we're going to get into that. But before we do, um, I want to do a quick season review into the numbers. What's going on, Thomas? And basically, I'm going to start throwing out some weird ass numbers to you guys. It's just stuff that I usually follow. And it ties into, and it actually did, Matthew. It's a good point. The transition did start a few years ago, but most people don't seem to realize that. Having said that, we're going to take a look at some of the numbers from this past season. And what I want to do is that I want to give you guys, you guys always ask me, what do we need for this upcoming season? What do you think we should do? Um, you know, give us your thoughts on this and that. So, what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to show you I'm going to tell you some really weird numbers. And I think you guys are going to get a better handle as to what the Islanders should do moving forward. So, uh, first off, I usually try to pride myself with the season preview, and we bombed this year. But there are reasons for that. We all know. But a little more specifically, the Islanders offense ended up with 222 goals. Okay. I was under the impression with all the numbers that I was hoping to crunch, that number was supposed to be around 255, maybe 260, depending on, you know, give or take an 8-2 run. Someone else gets hot. So, right off the bat, what happened with this Islanders season? Not enough offense. Okay. 222 goals. Quite a few players were down a little bit with their numbers, but then Simon Holmstrom had a great year and kind of rebounded some of those numbers. But the Islanders never really recovered from Matt Barzell and Anthony Duclair missing a ton of games. And let's also throw in now at this point the trading of Brock Nelson, not really replacing him with anybody. That also was a sticking, a sticking point. I thought he did already. I thought Bergevin already. Oh wait, he can't interview yet because he's with LA. But yeah, yeah, Bergevin, and we'll get to those guys in a minute. But 222 goals. The last time the Islanders scored this least amount of goals, you're looking at 2015-16, when the Islanders ended up scoring 227, but they ended up with 100 points. And for those of you who don't remember 2015-16, that was the first year in Brooklyn where John Tavares and Thomas Greiss got the Islanders into the second round of the playoffs for the first time in eons. So I wanna hit that note a little bit more. Yes, the offense wasn't there, but defensively, defense could have been a little bit better. Obviously, let's talk about the goaltenders real quick. Semi and Varlamov only played 10 games. That's not going to get you anywhere. Believe it or not, his goals against average was 2.89. Again, like some of the players who were short on their numbers offensively, Varlamov's numbers at 2.89 was just a little bit above his career average. He wasn't poor. Um, Ilya Sorokin, a little over 58 games played. For me, that's still a little too much. But he had a 2.71 goals against average. His career is like a 2.56, give or take. So again, not brutally bad, but the thing with Sorokin, and I think we can all agree, he didn't really steal a game or two for the Islanders, so it's a little tough on that one. I know a lot of people were crapping on Hogberg this year. Yeah, Hogberg had a couple of stinkers. He ends up with a 3.38 goals against average. But here's one where I think you're going to have to give Hogberg. You're going to have to give Hogberg a little bit of a break here. The Islanders through 12 games with Hogberg starting, 1.9 goals for. The Islanders offense couldn't even muster 2 goals a game with Hogberg in net. You know, it's a team effort, boys and girls. This was not a team effort this year. Some of my favorite points here, and these are the weird stats that I love to do. I love putting the defenseman involved with the offense because then when they rack up points, the team usually does better. This is pretty standard now over the last 3 years. When the Islanders defense scores 3 points or more, and what I mean by that, it could be D'Angelo, it could be Romanov, it could be Pelech, or it just could be Noah Dobson scoring 3 points in a game. Okay? As long as the Islanders defensemen score 3 points in a game, they went 19-3 and 5. 19-3 and 5. That's a standard. That's usually what they do. The last couple of seasons as well. It doesn't matter what coach is here. This is the thing that bothers me a little bit when the Islanders defense, and again, we know there's been injuries to the forwards, right? But when the Islanders defensemen only scored 2 points or more, 2 points in a game, they went 7-9-2. That's their first losing record when you have that many defensemen involved in points for those games. And now here's, again, that defensive style needed to be there. This team needed a little more team structure and defense if you're going to lose out on the offense. Pretty much grinding it out. Granted, would they have done much in the playoffs? Probably not. But my humble opinion, this should not have been an 82-point team. You're going to love this one. Trailing after the second period. Brace yourselves. 5, 28, and 1. Trailing after the second period. 5, 28, and 1. Leading after the second. 26, 2, and 5. I can't make this up. I just can't make this up. When they were tied, they went 4, 5, and 6. That's about as mediocre as you get, folks. And I agree, Tommy. He is a fill-in backup, but at least show some support. Get some run support here. Get some goal support. Help the kid. Help the guy out. Robin, I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Yeah, I'll give you my answer in a minute. This stings. This next one stings. Power play points by defensemen. Anytime a defenseman scored a power play point during the season, 10, 2, and 2. They only did it 14 times, 17%. Yeah, power play. I'm going to. This is something here that you guys want to see. You guys are going to find this funny, and this is very Islander like. Yes, the penalty kill was roughly 72%, worst in the league. Guess how many power play goals they actually allowed? 50. 50. How many power play goals did they allow last year? 63. Let me repeat that. The Islanders team last year gave up 63 power play goals. This year they gave up 50 and still had, percentage-wise, one of the worst penalty kills of the season. Go figure. Okay. But again, with Lou leaving, who was a little more on the defensive side, we know this defensive structure and whatnot. Here's something that kind of favors the old man here. And I did this last year too. The average defense this year was 3 goals allowed per game. So if the Islanders had had average defense or an average defensive structure, when they held their opponents to 3 goals or less, 31, 11, and 4. Okay. When you're holding opponents to 3 goals or less, 31, 11, and 4. Other than that, you went 4, 24, and 9. And here's the key stat. Last year, let me make sure I get this right. The Islanders last year, they went 36, 5, and 4. So there's a 5-game drop. There's your 10 points. That gets you your 92 points, may have gotten them into the playoffs this year. Again, injuries aside. Bingo, Greg. That's my point. And this is something that Gary and I said at the beginning of the season. If the Islanders had an average power play and an average penalty kill, the Islanders are in the playoffs. Okay, we would have made it. Okay, fine. We would have made it close. You know what I get. He's got to be so damn literal. Oh, it's the off season. Go away. But yes, going back to this, an average penalty kill, an average power play, the Islanders are in the playoffs. Now, going back to Robin's question here. Sullivan, Tocchet, or Waugh? Part of this as a water cooler talk. At this point, I would probably take Rick Tocchet. I think Rick Tocchet has just enough defensive style of a defensive style to get this team where it needs to be. Plus, he'll let this team run wild when the goals are there. But we have to get there first. So I don't know. We don't know what the Islanders are going to do yet. But those are the Islanders looking through the numbers. Okay. And, moving forward now. Right. Less penalties, but couldn't kill them. Right. But we still gave up less penalty killing. We gave up less power play goals. Go figure. That's also true. And that's going to come into my next part. Angie just brought up changing the culture of the team. Okay. To our knowledge, and I think everybody knows at this point, letting Lou go was a little bit of a surprise because at some point we all felt, okay, he's staying, but there were going to be changes made. Okay. Unfortunately for right now, Lou's the only one who is still who's the only one really let go. Okay. Letting Lou go is a business move, not a hockey one. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Okay. A business move is this. The Islanders just lost the All-Star game. The Islanders, to my knowledge, have not put in the paperwork for the hotel yet. I was also told that that little financial village, that little retail outlet, is not completely done. There are other factors going along right now, and Lou's classic ways cannot help the Islanders the way they are right now. So what happens now with Lou not here? Well, you don't have to worry about the policies. Now you can go after any free agent you want. If they don't like Lou's policies, it doesn't matter anymore. Now you're in the business of free agency. But free agency is always a business move, not a hockey one. Look at Nashville. Nashville signed Steven Stamkos. How many jerseys did they sell? How many season ticket holders just went up? Wasn't the greatest hockey move at the time. It might still turn into be. But letting Lou go right now is a business move. And the Islanders are letting everyone know that they are open for business moving forward. Right. It's a financial one. Same thing. The question is, and this is the problem that Islander fans, I don't think, understand just yet. And this is what we're going to discover now pretty much through the draft. Okay. Here's the hard truth. The Islanders are not relevant right now. As Angie said, there's no culture in this team. There's nothing. There's no John Tavares. There's no Barry Trotz. And now there's no Lou Lamoriello. And the Islanders missing the playoffs. They're not relevant. And they have all this other little stuff going on outside of hockey. Yeah. Now they're not getting that All-Star game. What's the point? Big time decision coming up. Collins has to get this right. Absolutely has to get this right. He's very lucky everyone wants this job. There is potential with this team. Don't get me wrong. But right now, that hard truth, the Islanders are not relevant. They're not even close. Maybe Matt Barzell can change that. Maybe Bo Horvat becomes that face. Who knows? But we're not going to find anything out until after the draft. Okay, here's the other problem that I have. I shouldn't say it's not a problem with Lou leaving because, in all honesty, I'm not even going to lie. Lou leaving this year or next year or even 2 years ago is completely irrelevant. And I'll tell you why. The top free agent was Bo Horvat. We got him. A couple of years ago, JG Peugeot was the top free agent. We got him. What the Islanders needed to do was started to draft all through the rounds. And they started doing that. And Lou helped himself by picking up Cal Ritchie from the 2023 draft. They made up some of that lost money from Nassau Coliseum. Then they started drafting. And I've said this for years now. You need a Jim Nill type of GM where you know you're going to draft in the first 2 rounds, bare minimum or more, and you get player development. The Islanders now are testing themselves and are going to be competing with the rest of the NHL against some of these top free agents. That's going to be the kicker. Who wants to come to Long Island? It opens the door now for Mitch Marner, especially if Toronto loses. Oh, Brock Besser could still happen, but he's not Mitch Marner. And with Lou being let go because it's a business move and not a hockey one, and with everything going around, I can't see the Islanders waiting 2 to 3 years to get back into playoff contention. I understand a lot of views on that. I do. I don't think the Islanders can financially wait 2 to 3 years. I don't think some of the Islander players want to wait 2 to 3 years. Besides the fact that the Islanders have already tried retooling the last 4 before this, when they traded away all their first round picks. That's all they had left. I don't think the Islanders can wait 2 to 3 more years. Okay. Look what's happening around the NHL, or at least in the New York area. MSG is rumored to be selling to the Yes Network. SNY is looking to sell. We know Cohen will probably have his hands along that. The Islanders contract with MSG, excuse me, I think only has 5 years to go. We said that weeks ago, months ago, when we had Lyle Richardson on. I don't think the Islanders are going to wait. I think as a group, and this is something that, Angie just touched on, they got to have that winning culture. They got to get back into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to wait those 2 to 3 years. But what they did was that they took away the classic policies, which now allows a little more breathing room for players to come in. That's a possibility. Oh, that's fine. You know, it's doubtful, but it's better than what it just was a week ago, right? Yeah, listen, don't worry about Pajot. Don't worry about Palmieri at this point. It's irrelevant. It really is. And especially come the draft now. Okay. There's still dissension in that locker room. Joe and I said that back in January. There's a locker room problem. The draft can solve that. If Pajot doesn't want to be an Islander anymore, or if the Islanders get a really good deal, okay, you trade him. Whoever's not hustling, whoever's not competing every night, they're going to be gone. There's a lot of internal house cleaning that needs to get done. And let's have a little bit of fun with this. If the Islanders can't wait 2 or 3 years, I can definitely see someone like Ken Holland taking over the president of hockey operations. Because let's face it, you got Edmonton to the Stanley Cup Finals on some really tough cap situations. Amazon's going to be stepping in as well. Right. Thomas, I'm not going to disagree with this. I'm not. I think what I've been trying to tell fans now for years is that retool was over when they were drafting, when they were trading away their first round picks to keep them in the playoff hunt. And I agree with you. If the Islanders start to do a retool now, miss the playoffs for the next 2 or 3 seasons, Barzell is not going to want to do that. Horvat's is not going to want to do that. A couple of players are not going to want to do that. 2 to 3 years now turns into 5 years, turns into 6 years. I agree with that, which is why I said letting Lou go was a business move. They need to keep the team competing for a playoff spot, bare minimum. I completely agree with that, Thomas. I hope it's not a rebuild. I hope it's not a rebuild. This will be a long rebuild, folks. Let me tell you. So, heading into next season, we get some house cleaning. I would say with the loss of Barzell, with the loss of Duclair, you're probably looking at another winger. You're probably looking at another centerman. And I think you're probably going to have to look at defensemen with a little more scoring or get a better defensive structure involved. You do that, the Islanders can show up again for a playoff spot, depending on where all the other teams is. I mean, it's now April 30th. Who knows? But with all the numbers I was shooting out here, some of this stuff is fairly easy to look at. So, with that said, water cooler talk, you know, for me, I'm not, I really don't care who the next president is or the GM. I don't. Um, as long as there is player development involved, that's fine. Player development is going to be very key for me, and I've been saying it now for years. Bergevin, president, Darche at GM, probably the best combo we can get at this point. Maybe. The question is, how much is Bergevin going to let Darche do his own thing? You know, I'm not going to lie. I actually like the idea of Bergevin as a general manager. I think he's crazy enough to make enough trades and everything else that he would really shake up this whole place. Former Islander draft pick, by the way. I think he played 2 seasons with us. They need to find someone under the age of 65 for the front office. Depending on how young the next general manager is or inexperienced. If you got an inexperienced GM, having a 65-year-old in there for maybe 2 years, 3 years wouldn't be a bad idea. Look, Lou lived that long. Thoughts on the radio guys being served? No one likes it. No one likes losing their jobs. And, we can all tell you right now, there's a lot of New York Islander employees who are still nervous about their jobs. This is a business move. Is it a shame? Absolutely. Um, you know, I listen to Chris all the time when I'm traveling. Um, I listen to Greg at the same time. I hung out with them more times at night than I did, my own family sometimes. It's just the road trips. You needed them. Clear the crease and play actual defense. Point taken. I don't like the idea of trading Scott Mayfield. The chances of Washington miracle are very slim. Well, look, Washington got their chance when drawing a blank. Washington center was put on long-term injured reserve, Backstrom. That gave him an extra $9.5 million to work with. All the Islanders have to do is the same thing, Thomas. You got injured players, put them on LTIR. That's how you get started. That's how Washington was able to get started. Oh, who stays on defense? Well, I'm gonna say this right now. I've said this before. I think any defenseman at the moment who can put up close to 30 points a game, a little bit on the physical side, perhaps. And again, I don't know if it's the defensive structure. Rick Tocchet, as a coach here, probably fits that mold. I don't know if Patrick Waugh does. Any chance we add some physical forwards? Look, I'm going to go. This was a whole new time for the New York Islanders. Okay, if they can find them, they got to get them. That's just the bottom line. They have to bring back Snow. There's always one in this crowd. You know that? Always one. It is very sad. Trade Pellick, maybe. Well, look, Pellick right now has averaged 60 games a year for the last 3 years. Someone wants to take a flyer on him? Maybe that's the direction they go with. I don't know. Crystal ball. Who tells us who wins that? Who wins the lottery? It's not going to be the Rangers. Um, if the Islanders win the lottery, I'll go this. I'll give you my top three. If the Islanders land number one, I still think it's Matthew Schaefer at D. No doubt. 100%. Number two, I still may go Michael Misa. If the Islanders get the number two, if they get the number three, it's Hagens. Bring the local boy home. I'm not upset with any of those. Who do I think is gonna win? I think they're going to give Chicago maybe one more shot. Chicago might win it. Could be San Jose. But those would be my three if the Islanders took, one, two, or three. Do I see Hickey getting a role in management? You know what? I think for Thomas Hickey, I think money's going to talk. I think he would love to stay in management with the Islanders, but I think Amazon's going to pay him a boatload to continue to be an analyst. Either way, I think Hickey's going to be very, very successful with that. Yeah, he is the best D. Schaefer's definitely the best D in the draft, no doubt. I'm going for Bennett, Foster, Brandon Tanev. That's a mean one. Um, I don't think Sam Bennett wants to leave Florida, but again, things can change. Um, I still think the Islanders have a shot at Besser. I do. Um, Brandon Tanev would be phenomenal. Put your GM hat on. What moves would you make in free agency and trades to start next season? Um, what's my mood, Greg? I mean, I'm house cleaning. Any player who didn't compete, any player who doesn't really want to be an Islander at this point, they would be the first ones to go for anything and anyone. That's fine. Picks, prospects, whatever. After that, I would still probably go for a centerman. I still think you got to look for another winger. Um, I would look into group 6 free agencies. A couple of 25s, 26-year-olds. I'd go that route for free agency. Other than Besser, if I can grab Besser, I probably would grab Besser. But you know what? With Lou's policies no longer here, I take a stab at Mitch Marner. That's what I mean. The draft is going to be very interesting. The draft is going to tell. Because look, Anders Lee has 1 year left. JG Pajot has 1 year left. Could you make trades at this draft? Absolutely. Could you buy out the contracts of Casey Zizekas? Probably. Letting some of these other, kids who went up from the minor leagues, into the NHL, can you let some of them go? You probably could. Yeah, get Besser. Yeah, look, I'm not going to get rid of Duclair yet. We don't know what happened with Duclair. And I'm sorry, that would also be another strike on Patrick Waugh. Because everyone else gave him credit for bringing in Duclair. That's another strike on Patrick Waugh. Varley done. You know what? He said it. I think it was his right knee, and supposedly he's going to be ready for the season. Yeah, I'm a little leery about that. With Jakob Skark probably going into the Finnish league, I would probably take a look at another goaltender just to be on the safe side. Tristan Lennox has not had enough game time experience. Hogberg could be ready, but there's nothing wrong with grabbing another goalie just to be on the safe side somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if Varley would be our backup goalie. Again, injuries are going to play a role here. That's true. He probably could waive. Someone might take a flyer on him, but again, even with the buyout, I mean, we're going to have $115 million cap space at some point. it's going to be nothing. So buying him out isn't going to be a big deal. Okay, real quick with the Bridgeport kids. Liukis, believe it or not, for the fourth line role, he has gotten better this year. Am I putting him on the Islanders next season? No. Maggio was also playing very well as a third line role. Jeffries was playing very well with what he had in that top six. They had him on the first line, they had him on the second line. What Bridgeport needs, and again, I said this before several episodes ago, they played 7 or 8 rookies. They play 30 games or more. You're not winning. You're not winning in that league. And mind you, we're not talking first or second rounders here or third rounders. There are a lot of fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rounders, rookies playing in Bridgeport. You're not winning a lot. Jakob Skark, Hogberg, they all got called up. Gakholm got called up. The injuries to some of the older forwards, Julian Gauthier was one. Who was the other center? He was injured all season long. Bridgeport had a lot of problems. What I'm looking for from Bridgeport this season, with now everyone getting time under their belts, is a little more structure. Excuse me. Give me a little more structure. Send some of them down to Worcester where they probably should have started and stayed, and go from there. A lot of rookies. You're not going to win. The American Hockey League is very underrated. Who has the best shot at making the Islanders next season? No one right now. No one right now. Call ups, I would probably go Jeffries. Let's go Jeffries. I'll go Isaiah George, although his defense still needs a little more work. Hogberg would be the call up. Maggio for a cup of coffee. Maggio can handle himself for 3 to 5 games. But for a lot of these kids, it's their off-season conditioning. That's going to be the big one for me. A lot of off-season conditioning. Marner has Maple Leaf pajamas. I believe that. Yep. Cameron Berg did look good late. Absolutely. I didn't want to bring up Cameron Berg only because it's the end of the season, but he did look good. Late games, whatnot. It's not a full season in the American Hockey League. That's what I'm going to hold on. Now, I again, I've been high on Cameron Berg. I've been high on Alex Jeffries. This was one hell of a bad season for Bridgeport. Total. A lot of young players coming together in a professional league. Let's see how things turn out next season. Well, Duke Dunn, no. Look, he played decent down in Bridgeport. And one of the things that was a happy surprise was that he got a letter. I think he was the alternative captain on the away games, which is usually a good sign of maturity at some point, which is what the Islanders have been waiting for. But again, new GM, new president, new direction. What are we going to do? Everything right now is up in the air, guys. Completely up in the air. Barzal at center or wing. That's going to be the other decision. That's going to be the other decision. Probably center. If it's his choice, we'll see. I still think he might be better at wing. But a healthy Matt Barzal will be better off than, a 30 game Matt Barzal. He doesn't have to be my first call up, Tommy, but he can hold his own for 3 to 5 games in the NHL. He's got enough speed for that. His two-way game is so much better than Ishakov's. It's silly. Um, yeah, and Maggio gets up from his hits. Once he gets hit, he gets up. Agreed. Agreed. And that's what we're going to find out. Yeah. Yeah, he did. Again, a lot of rookies not ready for professional leagues. And we've had that discussion before. I've had that discussion just recently. God, that almost went for 2 hours. Some of these kids are just not prepped for professional hockey, whether it's the NHL or the American League. They're not prepped. And this was a fine example of it. Oh, who did I have to win to pick the cup? Believe it or not, I don't know. I think I had Colorado and Toronto in the finals. I think I went Colorado. Great game that's going to be a great game tonight. Um, but again, I've been sick for a good while now, so I've been watching the games as much as I can. I love that Colorado Dallas series. I've loved the Florida series, believe it or not. Felt bad for New Jersey fans, but again, they got there. Um, Happy to see Montreal in the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. I think that's a nice change. Edmonton, LA. I still think that can go in any direction. I really do. And the Jets have got to get their act together. They have to. But yeah, I think I had Colorado and Toronto in the finals. You know what, Tommy? Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong, but the house cleaning definitely has to be there. Whoever doesn't want to be an Islander, who isn't, anyone who isn't going to compete every night, they got to go. I think we can all agree on that. I think, and I'm going to go along here with Angie again. I think everyone from New York to Bridgeport should be served notice. I think everyone's job should be on the line, including Patrick Watts. I do. This was a complete team effort, losing the way they did. I think even if we had a Jack Capuano style, grinding it out, I think we would have been better than 82 points. I think with the depleted players that we had, I don't think the Barry Trotz style would have lasted as long. But a Jack Capuano style, I think we were better than 82 points. Having said that, even to start the season right now, you know, I think this is an 88 point team, an 88 to 92 point team. They're on that fringe again. You bring everybody back healthy, we'll see. But this is a point where the Islanders' new general manager, new president, they got to come up with a direction. And the direction may already be there. The owners may already be like, playoff still. Let's do this. That may still happen. I still think this is going to be, despite the fact that the draft is not, it's going to take some of these kids longer to develop. I don't mind drafting in the top 10 of any draft with the injuries that we had. However, what I don't like is drafting in the top 10 because the locker room can't get along. And then the coaches and general managers don't get along. And then the general managers and the owners don't get along. Everyone is to blame on that. I hate that. To a degree, Charles, I'm going to, I get that. I get that. But listen, how many draft picks has Chris used? How many draft picks have actually spent time in Bridgeport other than Holmstrom? Dobson didn't. Wallstrom didn't spend enough time. Bellows didn't spend enough time. And we lost 4 first round picks. How do you expect Chris to do anything when he's handcuffed? And believe it or not, Chris Lamoriello is very well respected in the American League. He is. He hasn't had a lot to work with. They did. He did. He got 100-point seasons, especially in that 2015-16 season. But again, the Islanders needed a little more offense this year. So I don't know. Like I said, I think they would have been better than 82. They certainly wouldn't have been a 100-point team. Yeah, that's another good point, Tommy. The Metro's going to be a little weak here. Um, I'm, and if I were you guys, this is just my suggestion. Watch Washington and Carolina. Watch that intently. If Washington takes care of business with Carolina, oh boy. If you're the Islanders, you have to continue to keep going for this. New Jersey is going to be questionable moving forward with all of the injuries that they always have. The Rangers, I don't even know what to make of the Rangers right now. But if Carolina doesn't really step up against Washington, Columbus had a great year. We'll see what happens with them. But Philadelphia, I don't think is there yet. I think Columbus and Philadelphia could definitely challenge, but Carolina really drops guys. I don't think the Islander owners really want to crap out for 2 years. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I completely hear you, Angie. I do. I I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I don't want the underdog mentality anymore. I don't. I think that's the thing that's been holding this team back for so long. Yeah, we played great. The bounces just didn't go our way. I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't. I want this team, and look, this is what I had said before. Leading after the second period. Leading after the second period. 26 2-5. 26 2-5. Leading after the second period. When they were trailing this year, 5-28-1. Stop playing the underdog role. It no longer works. Listen, Thomas, you know me by now. I would rather have Cal Ritchie in the minors first. If he has to lose for a season, fine. I want to test his integrity. Okay? I want to test this kid. If he beats everybody out in camp, okay, fine. But for me, I'm still that classic view. Send him to Bridgeport. Let them all learn how to win. Get themselves into the playoffs. You want that Washington format? That's what you do. Let those kids learn how to win as a team. When they come up here, they're going to take the same stuff that they learned and they're going to apply it in New York. Yeah, but he won. He won. Like him or not, he won. Barry Trotz perfected what Jack Capuano was trying to do. I like that, Robin. It's a culture rebuild with development and good trades for leadership. Sure, sure, absolutely, 100%. Excuse me. I love that line. Columbus does have some talent, no doubt. And this is going to be a great learning experience for them this year, no doubt. Anybody and anybody, anybody and everybody, Rodney, go for it. Okay. The policies that Lou used to have are no longer here. The Islanders need to go big game hunting. It's a business move. You want to sell tickets, you want to sell jerseys, go after the big boys. See what you can do. For the first time in 50 plus years, 50 plus years, the Islanders can go big game hunting without the use of a first round pick. Let's see what they can do. And that's going to be on the new general manager and president. Barzell gets an A next year. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I I I don't know. I still think he has to show more. But that's me. Stealing your wife's account? That's a first. Does Wah stay or go? My opinion. I think he goes. And that's part of that new direction for the group. And with some of the numbers I was already talking about, this team needs to be a little more defensively minded, which didn't happen. Granted, lack of offense certainly didn't help. It's not a good look when it's publicly known that the coach and the GM are constantly going at it. It's not a great look. I don't know if the next GM really wants to put up with that. So, to Wah's case, the GM and the president need a very good, clear vision of exactly what they want, and then go from there. But my opinion, no, I don't think Wah should stay. I think he should go. But we'll see what happens. He might, or she might. Maybe this is just one blank year, a year of no expectations. A GM just lets everyone play everything out and then they start making corrections during the season. Maybe. Unless Watt gets a shot at GM. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think so. There are other more qualified people than Patrick Watt. They may give him a year, but it's going to be a very short leash. I would probably say half a year. Oh, Brian, Brian, you and I have talked about this now for what, decades? Yeah, we know they never win. Yep, I think Angie said the same thing. Yeah, you know, it took them what 15 years to get out of the first round, and even a lot of fans, some analysts, they don't like the AHL playoff format either. So it is what it is. But yeah, the winning has got to go beyond the first round at some point. Yeah, whole new everything. Marner, why not go for it? Why not go for it? Who cares? If it works, it works. Offer sheets. I would still. I don't want to give up first round picks at the moment. I don't think the Islanders can. They already gave up 4. fairly recently. Um, no, no. Let the and look, you got to give Lou credit at least for this point. At the very least, this next general manager, all they have to do, other than the player development, is draft every single year. And some of these players are all going to get transitioned out anyway. So that would be the slow process. Right. They're not the little guy anymore. They have to show the rest of the NHL that they're not the little guy anymore. They have to go big business here. I knew he was going to step in. 20 plus rookies on their team, no AHL veteranship on the team, and that's exactly why. Well, look, the AHL veteranship were injured. We know that. Chris Terry was there. The center. Brian Pino was there. Liam Foodie was okay, but that was basically it. You had Seth Helgeson for what, 7 games? That's not going to work. You know what, Anthony? I'm going to expand on this a little bit. I don't know. No one knows. That's what direction do the Islanders want to take? And I'm going to go a step further here. I am going to cover the draft like I always do, but I'm not going to cover the prospects in depth like I have before in the past because this is going to be a new regime. I'm not spending hours, days, weeks on all of these prospects with the thought that some of them could be traded with some of these other veterans with some contracts. You know what I mean? I think draft day, draft weekend, draft week is going to be big for the Islanders, and we're going to find out what kind of a direction they're going to take. So I'm going to go anything's on the table right now for the Islanders, and I think that's a lot of fun for Islander fans because I don't think we've ever said that before in 50 plus years. Dan Bilesma might be a good fit down in Bridgeport. Why not? I don't know if Bilesma wants to get back into coaching, but we'll see. Yes, we know. So, any final comments, concerns? Playoffs are about to get started. Boys and girls, have some fun with that. Listen. Final thoughts from me here. For right now, the Islanders are not relevant. They're nowhere. They need a sense of direction. They need a culture change. They need to define who they are, what they want to be, starting from scratch. Literally. Is there enough talent to get them into a playoff spot? Yes. It's the way they're going to get themselves into a playoff spot that everyone is now concerned with. Stop with the underdog. For me, the general manager, it doesn't matter. President of hockey ops doesn't matter to me. What I'm concerned with is the player development moving forward with this organization. It's essential, it's needed. I've been saying it now for years that my face, I'm ready to turn this color blue. It has to happen. Now, at the same time, the Islanders do need to make money. They need to at least make a splash of some kind in free agency. You want to sell tickets? Get to free agency. This is not going to be an easy job for the next general manager. Not at all. Could we see some changes? Sure. Would I be shocked if most of them came back for next season? No, I wouldn't be shocked. But the mindset of the underdog has got to go. Gotta go. Ooh. Giving Dobson an offer sheet. Maybe. Wouldn't that be fun? Teams really, don't really care in the AHL. And Randy's correct. There's a good chunk of teams that don't care about the American Hockey League. Unfortunately, that trend has to stop. They have to start caring about the American Hockey League. Otherwise, the National Hockey League is going to suffer. $115 million cap at some point with 34 teams, 36 teams. The American Hockey League is going to be essential for the parent clubs moving forward. No, he has not. And I'm not putting anything on Duclair yet until we find out. Thank you, sir. So listen, folks, go enjoy the playoffs. Don't forget to follow us here on Isles Talk on X at Isles Talk. Excuse me. Follow us on Facebook and like us on Facebook, please. And please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Like the video that you're seeing here tonight. It helps out with all the numbers. All the subscribers have been going up. All the numbers have been great. You guys have been great. Again, as far as the draft goes, I will be doing something with the draft. But with everything going on, as an Islander fan, I think anything is up for grabs at the moment. So, the draft for me, the prospects for me will be a little more limited, but I'll cover them shortly, but not as much because you just never know with this draft. And as we get closer to the draft, we'll cover it. We'll have fun. Don't know if I'll do a show on it. I really don't know what I want to do yet with the draft. Don't know if we're going to do a draft party somewhere on Long Island. Don't know if, Isles Talk wants to do anything. I don't know. We'll talk to Gary about that. We'll talk to Joe. We'll see what happens. And we'll go from there. Thanks, guys, for coming on. You guys have been great. Panthers in Tampa tied at 2. Very good. Schaefer will be a superstar. I agree with that. So, all right, boys and girls, I don't know when the next show is going to be. I want you guys to enjoy the playoffs. We'll try to get Gary back here soon. We'll try to get Joe back here soon. I'm going to be busy probably for like the next 6 weeks. If there's a Wednesday off, I will try to do a show. We'll talk NHL playoffs. If there's anything going on with the Islanders, we'll talk about it later. But for now, no show next week unless something changes. Enjoy the playoffs, everyone. We'll talk later. And let's go Islanders. Have a great night. See you soon.